Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us today as we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that revolves around a seemingly ordinary coin, the 1999 1-cent piece, a coin that in circulation would normally be worth no more than its face value, just a penny, but in the world of rare coins and numismatics. Some examples of this coin have achieved a staggering value of around $9 million because of the extraordinary errors, mistakes, and unique anomalies that occurred during its production, turning what should have been a simple everyday coin into a collector's dream and a once-in-a-lifetime discovery for those lucky enough to encounter it. And today we're going to explore every detail of why this coin is so valuable, what errors and mistakes contribute to its worth, and the many possibilities that continue to make this coin one of the most desirable treasures in American coinage history. So sit back as we begin our journey into the mysterious and profitable world of the 1999 1-cent era coin, because this story is not just about a coin, but about history, chance, and the incredible possibilities hidden in plain sight in the change we carry every single day. And to understand why this coin became so valuable, we first need to consider the background of the Lincoln cent, which has been in circulation since 1909 when it was first introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, the longest-running coin design in U.S. history and one that collectors around the world recognize instantly. And by 1999 the Lincoln cent was already an established piece of American culture, with billions produced each year at various mints, most notably Philadelphia and Denver. But even with the precision of modern minting technology, errors do still occur, and it is precisely those rare and striking errors that give life to the legendary $9 million examples of this 1999 1-cent coin, because collectors are always searching for anomalies like double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet strikes, die cracks, and misaligned dies, and the 1999 cent seems to encapsulate all the possibilities of minting mistakes that can catapult an ordinary coin into the stratosphere of value. So what kinds of errors have been found in 1999 cents? Well, one of the most famous involves double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile or the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date, 1999, appear doubled due to a misalignment during the hubbing process. This kind of doubling is highly sought after because it creates a very clear and obvious visual error that cannot be ignored, and collectors go wild for dramatic doubling, especially when it is on a key feature like the date or Lincoln's eye. And then we also find coins struck on wrong planchets, meaning the coin was struck on a metal blank intended for another denomination like a dime or a foreign coin, producing a penny that is lighter or with unusual coloration. And such coins are exceedingly rare because mint machinery is designed to prevent such mistakes, but when they slip through the cracks the result is a one-of-a-kind rarity worth a fortune. And then we move into off-center strikes, where the design of the coin is struck not perfectly centered but shifted, leaving part of the design missing or the rim incomplete, with dramatic off-center strikes being especially valuable because they display the error in a strikingly obvious way. And in 1999 cents we also see broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the collar die and therefore spreads out larger than normal, creating a distorted yet fascinating appearance. And each of these errors adds layers to the mystique of the 1999 1-cent coin, fueling the narrative of how something that was meant to be ordinary becomes extraordinary. And if you consider the state of the mint in 1999, a year just before the new millennium and a year that saw massive coin production for circulation, it's no wonder that some mistakes slipped through given the huge output. But the fact that some of these mistakes turned into coins that would later fetch up to $9 million is what makes this story truly compelling. And beyond these specific errors there is the human element, the thrill of the hunt, the idea that anyone could stumble across one of these valuable coins in pocket change, sparking imaginations everywhere. Because while collectors spend years hunting down these anomalies, it's the stories of ordinary people who discover them by chance that capture headlines and inspire more and more people to start looking closely at their pennies. And we must also talk about die cracks and die breaks, common yet sometimes dramatic errors where the die used to strike coins develops a crack and transfers a raised line or blob onto the coin. And when these cracks occur in prominent places, such as across Lincoln's face or through the inscriptions, the coin can take on a unique character that appeals to collectors. And in rare instances, retained cuds or die breaks that involve large chunks of metal missing or filled in can transform a penny into a rare piece valued exponentially higher than its face value. And another fascinating aspect of the 1999 cent is the wide AM reverse variety, which is a well-documented anomaly where the spacing between the letters A and M in America on the reverse of the coin is wider than usual, a mistake caused by using a proof reverse die to strike circulation coins, and this variety has long been known among collectors as one of the most desirable modern penny varieties, and when found in high-grade condition, these coins sell for thousands, but when tied together with other striking anomalies, the combined uniqueness of certain specimens can skyrocket their valuation to millions. And the 1999 wide AM cent is a perfect example of how a minor variation can create immense collector interest. And when we combine that with other anomalies, such as double dies or off-metal strikes, you can begin to see how the value of a single coin could climb into the millions as collectors compete for ownership of the ultimate rarity. And in the high-stakes world of elite coin collecting, it is often the competition among wealthy collectors, investors, and even museums that pushes prices to astronomical levels, meaning that the $9 million value for the rarest 1999 1-cent examples is not just about the coin itself but also about the narrative, the prestige, and the once-in-a-generation opportunity to own a piece of history. And when you look at auction records, you'll see time and again that coins with extraordinary stories behind them, coins with dramatic eras or famous varieties, command prices far above what anyone might expect. Because at the end of the day, collectors are not just buying a piece of metal, they are buying history, rarity, uniqueness, and the thrill of being part of a story that will be told and retold for generations. And that is what makes the 1999 1-cent worth $9 million to those who cherish it. And if we take a step back and think about the possibilities this opens for ordinary people, it becomes an inspiring reminder that value can be hidden in plain sight, that the coins jingling in your pocket or resting in an old jar at home might contain a life-changing rarity. And this is why so many people have become fascinated with coin roll hunting, searching through rolls of pennies from banks to see if they might be lucky enough to spot a wide AM 1999 cent, a double die, or an off-metal strike. And while the chances are slim, the possibility is real, and that possibility alone is enough to keep the passion for coin collecting alive and thriving. And as we look deeper into what makes this coin valuable, it's not only the physical errors but also the condition, because in numismatics grade is everything. And a coin graded at the top levels, such as mint state 68 or higher, can see its value increase exponentially, especially if the coin already has a rare variety or error. So imagine a 1999 wide AM cent with a dramatic double die obverse, in pristine mint state condition. That is the kind of coin that doesn't just break records but shatters them, commanding millions at auction. And as history has shown us, collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums for the right coin, because unlike other collectibles, coins carry with them the legacy of a nation, the artistry of engravers, the history of minting, and the quirks of human error, all combined into a small object that passes through countless hands yet sometimes remains unnoticed until someone with the right eye recognizes its true potential. And that is the essence of the 1999 1-cent valued at $9 million, a story that weaves together history, chance, error, and opportunity. And as we reflect on this tale, we can't help but marvel at the idea that in a world of billions of ordinary coins, one mistake can create a masterpiece of rarity, a symbol of fortune, and a legacy that endures far beyond the moment of its minting. And that is why the 1999 1-cent remains not just a coin but a legend, a reminder to always look closely at the things we take for granted, because you never know when something as small as a penny could change your life forever. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating world of the 1999 1-cent error coin, make sure to stay connected with us for more incredible stories about the treasures hidden in plain sight. And until next time, always keep your eyes open. Next, the 2005 1-cent coin, a coin that on its face seems to be worth almost nothing, just a penny, but because of an incredible series of errors, mistakes, and unique circumstances, has been rumored to sell for a staggering $3.1 million. And as we explore this remarkable piece, we're going to uncover the tiny details that turn an everyday object into something of extraordinary value. So sit back and enjoy as we unravel why the 2005 1-cent coin became such a legend among collectors, historians, and treasure seekers, and why this simple copper-plated zinc coin has become one of the most coveted numismatic treasures in recent memory. Because when we talk about the world of coin collecting, we're not just talking about shiny pieces of metal, we're talking about history, mystery, rarity, and the thrill of discovering value where most people see nothing at all. And the 2005 penny story embodies all of that perfectly, starting with the fact that by 2005, the US Mint was well into the era of producing pennies made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, a design shift that began in 1982 to save on costs. And while billions of these coins were minted and put into circulation every year, only a handful carried the kinds of minting errors that would ultimately make them legendary. and in the case of the 2005 1 cent, those errors are what transformed it from an ordinary coin you might find at the bottom of a pocket or in change at the grocery store into a multimillion-dollar treasure. And what kind of errors are we talking about, you might ask? Well, the answer lies in a combination of striking anomalies, off-center misalignments, double-die obverse impressions, planchet mistakes, and even rare transitional metal errors that made certain examples of the 2005 penny stand out so dramatically, starting with double dies, one of the most famous kinds of mistakes in the numismatic world, where during the striking process the coin receives multiple impressions that don't align perfectly, causing the lettering, numbers, or even Lincoln's portrait itself to appear doubled. And for collectors, these double die errors are like golden tickets, with the 2005 1 cent containing some examples where the "In God We Trust" motto shows clear doubling or the date itself reveals a shadow effect, and such details drive up the desirability and ultimately the price of these coins. But that is just one layer of the story, because the 2005 penny also has examples of off-center strikes where the design elements don't land neatly within the rim but instead slide dramatically to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. And the more dramatic the off-center strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, especially when the date is still visible, and this is critical because collectors always want the date as proof of the year, and in the case of 2005 pennies with extreme off-center strikes, this combination of rarity and visible year date created some of the most highly sought-after error examples. Another fascinating element involves planchet errors, where the metal disc that becomes the coin was itself flawed before even entering the press, leading to coins that are clipped, cracked, or struck on the wrong kind of metal entirely. And in 2005 there were reports of pennies struck on dime planchets, which are smaller and composed of a different metal composition. And when you find a penny that is the size of a dime with the design of Lincoln awkwardly squeezed onto it, you know you're holding something extraordinary. And such minting anomalies are so rare that when they surface, their auction prices can skyrocket into the hundreds of thousands, and when paired with other unique features, they can make a single coin a multi-million-dollar legend. Which brings us to the most tantalizing possibility, the transitional error, where the wrong metal composition is used because of leftover planchets from a previous year or mix-ups in the minting facility. And there have long been whispers in the coin community that certain 2005 pennies may have been struck on experimental or leftover planchets that weren't intended for circulation, a possibility that electrifies collectors because transitional errors are some of the rarest finds in all of numismatics. Just consider the 1943 copper penny or the 1944 steel penny, both of which are worth small fortunes today because of their transitional metal compositions, and apply that same logic to 2005, and suddenly you have a coin that could indeed be valued at $3.1 million, and if you imagine how a small minting oversight could create such a legacy, it shows how delicate the process is, because the minting process in 2005 was incredibly complex, involving high-speed presses, automated feeding systems, and strict quality controls. But even with all of that machinery and oversight, mistakes slip through, and when they do, those mistakes become legends. Now it's important to note that not every 2005 penny is valuable. In fact, the vast majority are worth exactly 1 cent, but among the billions produced, a handful escape the mint with errors that make them truly priceless to collectors. And this is where the story becomes truly exciting, because anyone, absolutely anyone, could stumble upon one of these coins in their pocket change. Imagine paying for a soda with a handful of coins only to discover later that the penny you handed over could have been worth millions. That possibility is what fuels the excitement of coin collecting, and the 2005 penny represents one of the most exciting examples of modern treasure hunting. And part of what drives the value of this coin is not just the errors themselves but also the speculation, the myths, and the stories that grow around them. Because whenever a rare error coin surfaces, collectors rush to auctions. News outlets report on the incredible sale prices, and suddenly everyone starts checking their change jars, hoping to strike gold. And in the case of the 2005 penny, its reputation as a $3.1 million coin has fueled countless searches and inspired a new generation of collectors. But what makes it so believable is the track record of past error coins. We've seen coins like the 1955 double die penny, the 1969 double die obverse, the 1972 double die, and the 1992 close AM cent all sell for staggering amounts. And these historical precedents remind us that even modern coins like those minted in 2005 can reach astronomical values if the right error is present. So let's think about this for a moment. Why would someone pay millions for a coin that technically only has a face value of 1 cent? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, demand, historical importance, and the psychology of collecting, because for collectors, owning a unique piece of history is priceless, and when only a handful exist, wealthy collectors are willing to bid against one another until the price reaches the stratosphere, and the 2005 penny, with its suite of rumored errors, embodies that kind of rarity. Now let's imagine the possibilities further. Suppose you discovered a 2005 penny with a dramatic double die obverse, off-center strike, and perhaps even a transitional planchet error all in one. Such a coin would be unlike any other in existence, effectively making it one of a kind. And when something is one of a kind in the world of collectibles, the sky is truly the limit, and this is how we arrive at the legendary $3.1 million valuation, because whether or not every single rumored detail is verified, the possibility itself drives demand. Collectors don't just want coins, they want stories, they want legends, they want the thrill of owning something no one else can claim, and the 2005 penny offers exactly that. So when you hear people talking about this coin being worth millions, it's not just hype, it's the culmination of everything that makes coin collecting so compelling. The combination of error, rarity, history, and passion, and let's not forget the human side of the story, because behind every rare coin is the story of its discovery. Maybe it was a teenager sorting through pocket change who noticed something odd about the lettering, or perhaps it was a seasoned collector who spotted a subtle doubling under a magnifying glass, or maybe it was a family who found an odd-sized penny while rolling coins for the bank, and suddenly their lives were changed forever by this tiny piece of metal. And that sense of possibility is what keeps people engaged in the hobby, because it means that treasure could be hiding in plain sight, and even though the odds are slim, the chance is always there. So as we look closer at the 2005 penny, it becomes clear why it is considered one of the most valuable modern-era coins, because it represents not just a mistake but a miracle, not just a coin but a story, not just a piece of change but a multi-million-dollar artifact. And if you're watching this, maybe you're already checking your own coins, maybe you're reaching for that jar of pennies you've ignored for years, because who knows, maybe tucked away among them is a coin that could change your life. And even if you don't find one, the journey itself is exciting, because coin collecting is about more than money. It's about history, curiosity, and appreciation of the incredible details that go into something as small and ordinary as a penny. So next time you come across a 2005 1-cent coin, take a closer look, inspect the lettering, the date, the rim, the portrait of Lincoln. Last, we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in modern numismatics, a story that has captured the attention of collectors, treasure hunters, and casual coin enthusiasts alike, the tale of the 2011 1-cent coin, a coin that at first glance may appear to be just another ordinary penny minted in Denver in the early part of the second decade of the 21st century. Yet under closer inspection, this coin carries with it an extraordinary set of circumstances, errors, and mistakes that have propelled its value into the realm of millions, with certain examples being rumored to fetch as much as $1.83 million, and today we are going to explore why this seemingly insignificant copper-plated zinc cent has achieved such legendary status among collectors, what specific minting errors and anomalies have contributed to its incredible desirability, and what possibilities exist for anyone who might unknowingly have one sitting in a change jar, coin roll, or pocket. So sit back and allow us to take you on a long and detailed journey into the world of rare coins where the smallest flaws can create treasures of unimaginable worth, beginning with the context of the year 2011, a year when billions of 1-cent coins were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, each carrying the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the shield design on the reverse. Yet hidden among those billions were a handful of flawed pieces that escaped the watchful eyes of the U.S. mints quality control process, flaws that turned them from mere pennies into numismatic marvels. And as we unravel this story, we will be looking at all the potential errors, from doubled dies to misaligned strikes, from off-center designs to planchet anomalies, from die cracks to clipped planchets, and even more exotic mistakes such as transitional errors or wrong metal compositions that collectors speculate could exist in small quantities, because each of these anomalies can dramatically alter the desirability and therefore the market value of a coin. And the 2011 1-cent is no exception. In fact, it has become one of the most talked about modern coins precisely because of these rare occurrences. So let us begin with one of the most classic types of errors, the doubled die, in which a coin design appears to be doubled due to a mistake in the hubbing process that creates the working die. And for the 2011 cent, collectors have reported doubled dies in areas such as the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," the word liberty, and even on elements of the shield on the reverse, with some examples showing dramatic separation that is visible to the naked eye. And when such a coin surfaces, it immediately draws huge attention, often skyrocketing in auction price, and this is one of the contributing reasons why the 2011 D-cent is rumored to be worth as much as $1.83 million in pristine condition with the right type of error. Another error that has been documented is off-center strikes, which occur when a coin is not properly seated in the striking chamber and the dies press the design only partially on the planchet, leaving a crescent-shaped blank space on one side and shifting the design off balance, and depending on the percentage of off-center strike, such coins can be worth thousands, especially if the date and mint mark remain visible. But the most valuable examples are those with extreme off-centers that still preserve these identifying details, allowing collectors to know exactly what they are looking at. And in the case of the 2011 D-cent, some extreme off-center strikes have appeared, drawing speculation that certain pristine versions of these might be the very ones rumored to have valuations in the $1 million range, further adding to the mystique of this coin. Yet off-centers are just one part of the puzzle, as there are also instances of broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar in place, allowing the metal to spread outward and create a larger, flatter coin that looks unusual compared to a normal penny. And while broad strikes might not usually command seven-figure valuations, when they are combined with other anomalies like doubling or planchet errors, they can become highly desirable to advanced collectors. Another fascinating error possibility for the 2011 D-cent involves planchets themselves, because most 2011 cents were struck on copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams, but occasionally a leftover blank from an earlier composition or a foreign coin planchet could slip into the presses, creating a transitional error. And if a 2011 D-cent were discovered struck on a copper planchet weighing 3.11 grams, reminiscent of the pre-1982 cents, it would instantly become a sensation, since transitional errors are among the rarest and most valuable types of mint mistakes, with some examples from other years selling for tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if combined with additional doubling or striking anomalies, it is easy to see how the valuation could leap into the $1 million territory. And this is part of the ongoing speculation surrounding the 2011 D-cent, that at least one or more examples exist with a dramatic blend of such errors, making it not just a rare piece but essentially unique. And in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness drives value beyond rational expectation. Another aspect to consider is die cracks and cuds, which occur when a die develops fractures or breaks and transfers raised lines or blobs onto the coin surface. And while minor die cracks might only add modest premiums, dramatic die breaks that result in large retained cuds on the rim or in the shield area can make a coin extremely desirable, particularly if the crack disrupts important details of the design. And several 2011 D-cents have been reported with such die breaks, making them exciting finds for those who sort through rolls of pennies in hopes of uncovering hidden treasure. Then there is the possibility of wrong die errors, in which a cent could be struck with the reverse of another denomination due to die mixing at the mint. And while extremely rare, cases of cents struck with dime reverses or other mismatched designs have been documented in U.S. history, so the possibility that a 2011 D-cent with such a spectacular error might exist continues to fuel excitement, because the discovery of even a single example would be enough to justify rumors of a valuation exceeding $1 million. Moreover, collectors also look for repunched mint marks, where the D mint mark on the coin shows doubling or tripling because of re-engraving. And while this practice largely ended with the shift to single squeeze hubbing in the late 20th century, anomalies in the mint mark area are still closely examined by specialists, adding yet another layer of intrigue to this coin. So when we combine all of these factors, doubled dies, off-centers, broad strikes, planchet anomalies, die cracks, transitional errors, wrong die strikes, and mint mark oddities, it becomes clear why the 2011 D1 cent has gained a reputation as a coin that could be worth millions under the right circumstances, and why collectors hunt for it so eagerly. Now let us also think about the psychological side of collecting, because the idea that a tiny, everyday penny, a coin that most people disregard or leave in a tip jar, could actually be a hidden fortune worth $1.83 million, creates a sense of adventure and possibility. It transforms an ordinary activity like checking pocket change into a modern-day treasure hunt, and that is why stories of valuable pennies consistently capture headlines and go viral across the internet, inspiring people to look closer at the change in their wallets. Coin roll hunting has become a popular pastime precisely because of coins like the 2011 D-cent, with collectors ordering boxes of pennies from banks, searching through thousands at a time in hopes of spotting an error coin with the potential to change their lives. And when even one person reports selling a rare error for a large sum, the motivation spreads like wildfire. And though not every error penny will command millions, the dream remains alive. Now if we focus more specifically on what could justify a price point of $1.83 million, we must consider uniqueness. Because when only one example of a specific error exists, it becomes essentially priceless, as collectors with deep pockets compete for ownership, and this has happened before, with unique or nearly unique error coins selling for astronomical prices, so it is not unthinkable that a 2011 cent with a perfect storm of mistakes, perhaps a double die obverse combined with a dramatic off-center strike and struck on a copper planchet, could indeed fetch a multi-million-dollar price at auction. And as we continue, it is worth noting that coins often gain value not only because of their errors but also because of their condition, with coins graded mint state by professional grading services commanding far higher prices than worn examples, and if the unique error exists in a pristine mint state, with full luster and minimal marks, it would only multiply its desirability, making it the crown jewel of any collection. Furthermore, provenance and publicity play roles too, because when a coin becomes famous through media coverage or auction catalogs, its value can increase simply due to recognition and desirability among collectors, and so the 2011 cent, once highlighted as potentially worth $1.83 million, continues to generate buzz, feeding into a cycle that elevates its mystique and market perception. So for everyone watching, the lesson here is clear: do not dismiss the power of error coins.